This is a lovely little Tompion clock, made in about 1695 by Thomas Tompion. And he'd numbered all his clocks, and this is number 215. And so that we can date it reasonably accurately to be 1695. They're much smaller than his usual phase 2 clocks with the low caddy and the carrying handle over the top. It's got a dial which is only 5.5 inches high by 4.5 inches wide, and it's a lovely little clock. The clock is just a miniature of his normal production, and so that it's all scaled down, and so you hardly notice the size in a picture until you see how small it is in real life. And it's got these lovely two, what are called derogatorily, Mickey Mouse ears, and you've got the regulation for the time on this side and the strike silent on this one. And so that you've got the false aperture for the pendulum, and lovely plain dial, no need for spandrels in the corners here, but a pair of spandrels in the lower corners here. It's just a lovely little thing, sort of thing you want to take to bed with you, and then you can stop it striking by turning the strike silent dial. So you've got the two subsidiary dials on the top here. This adjusts the rate of the pendulum by lifting up and down. The pendulum is suspended in the middle here. There's a pivot over there and a little rack behind this, so that when you put the winding key on, you can adjust it. It's fairly sensitive, and half a division makes a big difference. Lovely little signature in the middle here, Thomas Tompion Londini, Thomas Tompion of London. And then on the other side, you've got the strike, no strike indication here. So that it's set now for bedroom work, so that it won't strike on the hour. You've got the mock pendulum aperture, the little mock pendulum behind, ticking away. Lovely little dial, and clear. It's just a miniature of a big Tompion, so that the details are exactly the same. And you've got the two spandrels in the bottom corners here, with the little cherub faces. It's interesting also how the quality of the castings done for these spandrels decreases over the years, and the ones done for Fromentil and those used by Nib are much finer. These are comparatively thick in comparison with the earlier spandrels. Tompion hour hands are always a beautiful shape, with here miniaturization with these tiny little ornaments which just add interest to the hand itself. Just perfection. And the detail in the base of the minute hand here, again, tiny little details which have been put on, and one stroke of a file and they'd all disappear. But there they are, blued, and over 300 years old. So I'll just turn it round so you can see the back plate. Beautiful engraving, and the pendulum is working through a crutch. You can see the crutch behind the actual pendulum, which is then on a spring. So you can see the lever arm here, which is has the rack. It's pivoted off this little cock here, so that the movement here is reduced to move the spring up and down through the jaws here, so that the regulation takes place by moving this up and down. And the suspension spring goes through the jaws, probably designed by Robert Hooke, and the ratio between the distance between the pivot point and to there gives what a 3-to-1 reduction in the movement from the rack at this side. And you've got the hold fast point, so that if we want to stop the clock, then we just drop the pendulum into the hold fast point so that it doesn't bang about and damage itself when you move the clock. There I've stopped the clock and put the pendulum in its little hold fast position, and now you can see the beautiful engraving in the signature. Thomas Tompion, Londini, fake it. So there's the number stamped on the bottom of the back plate, 215. And if you want to carry it upstairs, there's a little hook at the bottom here to put the pendle on, so I can clip it on there, and then it's locked so it won't swing around as it's moved. Close the case up. I'm always very wary of picking 300-year-old clocks by the little handle. It's much safer to grip them on either side, pick them up, and then you can turn it back round again. Isn't that a beautiful little clock? Just the sort of thing you like to take to bed with you. Tompion actually made a series of these miniature little clocks. Something like 8 have survived, and it's interesting that they're not all identical, but they're all roughly this size. So I've got another couple which I can show you. I'll just go and fetch them. So we've got 2 miniature Tompions here now. The little one here was made in about 1693 and is numbered 215, whereas this one is made by Tompion, signed and made by Tompion and Banger, and so that the dial is slightly bigger to have more room for the second name as the signature. This means that the whole thing has been slightly increased so that it's very slightly larger than the other clock. And this is number 457 and was made in about 1707. So that quite a range of time when Tompion then had taken Banger into partnership with him. The 2 clocks are virtually identical, apart from the addition of pull quarter repeat on this one. So if I pull it now, it's just gone 2 o'clock. So a bit like a collection of Russian dolls going up in size. But the smallest of all is number 215, which was made in about 1693. The one in the middle here is number 457, which was made in about 1707. And this one is number 258, and that was made in about 1695. And so that they're all very similar, but all slightly different.